Today on the show, things to do with mom while you still got the time. You're in college, you're Catholic, now what? The importance of rites of passage, our picks of the week, and so much more. The Catholic Underground starts right now. It is time for the Catholic Underground. We are the podcast that tries to cut through the noise of the digital continent and bring you the topics that matter. It's episode number 401. I am Father Chris Decker. And joining me this week, we've got Kathleen Lee, the executive director of the Woman's New Life Clinic.
Yes, very good.
In Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Absolutely.
Kind of a little bit of a name change to reflect the types of services that you provide.
Yep, absolutely.
Those pro-life services for women. Welcome, Kathleen.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. We've also got, great. I'm going to have to give you a kind of a two-shot here because if you're watching us on the radio, there are two folks with you. So I'll just kind of go down the line. Taylor Rodri, whom you'll remember as Taylor in the chat room. Yeah. TMR 1013, from way back when. Taylor has been kind of one of our super fans, and she happens to be in Baton Rouge, and so naturally we put her on the show. Hey, Taylor.
Hey.
And that's a good sign-on. Also, Olivia Gulino. She's the student of life, our resident Italian food critic. She joins us without fail. Hello, Olivia.
Hello. Still here.
Still here. After all this time. Still here.
I feel like we need to break into song after all this time.
That's right. You're not gonna sing, are you? Let's go up to the Jeff Star one. The near. That's right. Exactly. Yeah. Normally our intros took so much time. Because I'm long-winded.
No. Okay.
But up on the satellite.
Today or just in general?
Just in general. Up on the satellite of Jeff is Jeff. Jeff Blackwell, who's our technical director. He's the commandant.
Good evening, Father.
Good evening. Hey. Yes. And in fact, Jeff's just been off of a gig, where you got to play the voice of God, as you do every now and then.
Yeah, I get that. In fact, I have another one coming up at the end of September. So yeah, they call me Vogue.
Yeah. It's you see what he did there.
I see what you did there.
And then we don't have a camera on him yet, but Ed Ball is back in the ball pit running the video for us.
He's back.
Yeah, Ed was doing some superhero things and managed to rip his rotator cuff on his shoulder. And it has.
So he claims.
Yeah. You notice how you never see Superman and Ed at the same place at the same time? There's a reason we don't have phone booths now, right? Anyway, yeah. So Ed has had those repaired, and he's had his 8 weeks of physical therapy and recovery. Quite a while.
He's not saying.
He won't say.
Too long. That's for sure.
Yes.
And so now that his arm's out of the sling, he's using his good mouse hand to switch the video.
Right.
Whew, all right. Well, 2 minutes of introductions. For those of you who are watching us on Roku, on YouTube now, on Periscope, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Catholic TV, on the Catholic Faith Network, or any point in between, welcome. And as we say, we're the Catholic Underground. We're happy that you're here. And we think we'll just jump right in. Yeah. Now, I get to go see my mom pretty regularly because she had a number of health events a couple of years ago. And dementia began in her life. And so we've been kind of going through that together. And so she is at a local assisted care facility, which is 15 minutes from my parish, which is wonderful. So I'm on the mass rotation and everything. So I get to see her pretty often. And that got me to reading an article over on Aletheia about 5 things to do with your mom when you're an adult before it's too late.
Cool.
And that's the thing. We don't know how long we'll have our parents, so we try to do what we can while we've got them, Both Taylor and my fathers have gone to Jesus. And so it's one of those things where you kind of go, man, I really wish I could have done all that stuff. So we thought we'd give you the opportunity, If your parents are living, if you're an adult and you're like, now, should I go visit my parents? Well, you should. And so here are a couple of things to think about, Accept every hug and respond with an even bigger one. Yes. I find I do that now more than ever with my mom. My mom is like Kathleen says, she's like a little mascot,
Yeah, she's a little babushka. She's so
she's
cute.
Like a little babushka.
And
so I find that when I hug mom now, I hug with a lot more meaning. Because as you grow up, you're like, I love you too. If you're cool enough to hug your parent, right? I never really had a problem with that as a kid. Did y'all have problems like hugging your parents?
I didn't really. No.
I did, but when my dad got diagnosed, I found like every moment I had, every hug seemed to be treasured more and more.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
And lasted longer
Yeah.
too, right? Yeah. Mhm.
And like we both weren't the touchy-feely type, but like
Right.
if I was leaving and giving him a hug, it was like I was savoring every second of that.
Yeah, I found that too with my dad in the last few months of his life, that we both kind of had this unspoken thing of, let the hug linger, enjoy the hug. Oftentimes we only turn to our parents when we're in a difficult situation, right? Kind of like we tend to treat God. But don't wait for the hard times before you show mom your affection, And so throw those arms around, huh, Jeff?
Absolutely. My mom's 90.
Wow.
And,
90?
oh, man, we have them long hugs. And
Yeah.
you kind of just lay it in there, So,
That's like a North Louisiana hug.
but she had both of her shoulders replaced,
Oh,
the
yeah.
joints replaced. So
Oh, so she's like bionic. She's got a
wrestling,
strong.
yeah. She's on a slow pitch team now.
That's great. Yeah. So yeah. Let the hug linger and be not afraid to do that, huh? And then of course, I read somewhere last week that it's 20 seconds supposedly for a hug to activate all of the psychological healing bits. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but they say that it takes 20 seconds for a hug before your body begins to kind of recognize, kind of like what a mother would, to her child, right? A baby has to be caressed in order to properly grow. And I'd imagine there's probably some truth to that.
I love a good hug.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 20 seconds is like that's a hug.
That's a
good.
Yeah, that's
a long
an
hug.
almost awkward hug, right?
Yeah.
Especially for guys, It's always something whenever you give a hug as a guy.
Well, because y'all do the bro hug thing
That-
where you're like
and
barely
it's-
touching, you hit each other, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you do actually embrace, there's usually like a tap out,
Right. Yeah.
so that you're giving permission.
Well,
Yeah.
and even that,
No,
like, it's like
boom,
you're
boom.
beating them.
Yeah, and let me tell you
Yeah.
this.
Oh, then there's the
Yeah.
right.
Let
yeah.
me tell you this, bros. Ladies do not like bro hugs.
Yes,
I've
please
gotten
don't
several
do
where I'm
smack
like,
us in the back.
ow.
I don't think that's.
It's a thing, okay? They
I
just get
wouldn't do
awkward,
that.
and I'm like,
My
Yeah.
brother used to do that with my mom. Speaking of moms, and
That's
like,
one way to get away from the hug, right? Quickly.
and well, my mom's never gonna turn down a hug from her kids, right? But Jacob is a large human person, and my mom is teeny tiny, and he just didn't understand for a long time how strong he was, and he would like knock the wind out of her, like he would start like smacking her
does
on the back
happen.
like he would with his friends, and then she would literally start coughing.
Oh, my.
Yeah, any blow to the sternum is really not a hug.
Not a good thing.
Yeah.
I may be guilty of doing that to Ty.
Well, her brother.
But-
That's your brother,
I
right?
may.
But sibling hugs are a completely different order. I'm an only child, and so I was spared much of that. And then I got to the seminary, and all of a sudden you realize you have 80 brothers, some of which have many biological brothers of their own. So you do. Yeah, it's true. Number 2 on the mom list. Ask her lots of questions. We can ask mom about anything, and moms generally give a straightforward answer, generally. But start asking history questions, huh? How did mom and dad meet? How did you know you were in love? What was it like whenever mom was pregnant, To ask those sorts of questions. You have to ask those questions while you can, because you don't know if you'll get to ask them,
Right.
And so those are important things. I kind of wish I would have, thought about some of these things with my dad, for sure. But I know that I tend to ask mom those questions while I know in the midst of her dementia, she's in the early stages and she can still kind of access those memories.
That's beautiful.
And so to be able to get kind of just a little bit more context for your own life, because that's really what asking good questions of our parents allows us to
Right.
do. And even if you don't have a great relationship with your parents, you still perhaps can garner the opportunity to ask them some questions, and sometimes that can help to build a relationship, about taking genuine interest in them.
And
Yep.
Father, real quick,
Yeah,
let me,
sure.
because this is so worthwhile, and now everybody's got a video camera basically in their
Yeah.
phone. But about 10, 15 years ago, I took a little portable recorder, and my dad and his last living brother, and did an interview. I clipped a mic
Awesome.
on them, and just kind of followed them around for an entire day. And I heard stories I'd never heard before about him growing up, and they were out in the sticks, believe me. So it was really it's priceless to still have those recordings to listen to today. So
Yeah, and I know that some folks still have like voicemails and whatnot from their loved ones too. So yeah, while we have a video production suite on almost all of our phones now.
You're right.
Use that audiovisual power that we have to do that. Number 3, listen to mom's advice. It's the fruit of years of experience. Sometimes we feel like mom is interfering in our personal life with her advice. Because especially when you're young, there's always that transition that takes place from parent-child to adult. Sometimes it doesn't take place, right? When there's psychological health at risk. But there comes a point where, we have to, as their children, have to make the choice to say, let me come at this as an adult seeking an adult's advice, or listen as an adult receiving an adult's advice. Moms try to tell us how to manage a situation better, how to act, and we often ignore them. But because we don't think they have any idea what the world is like today. Yeah. And as I grow closer to my 40s, I know that, in fact, I was having lunch today with a teenager and his and one of his relatives, and I was thinking to myself, he is doing exactly what I would have done as a teenager. He's kind of like, yeah, whatever, whatever, pops, And so, this is an important thing to do, is to actually seek their advice, listen to their advice, because they have experience that we perhaps haven't tapped into. They've raised us for years. They've had plenty of time to observe us. Our parents know us probably better than anybody else, except for maybe our siblings, but even our parents know us better than our siblings do. And so because they've been observing us, they know how we're likely to act, and then there can be some trust there. Instead of refusing to lend an ear, listen first, and then decide to apply what they've told you. Because, sometimes what they say is not going to apply, because as adults we live much of our life out of the house. But still, there are little kernels of truth there that kind of strike us to the heart. And really, if you think about your relationship in prayer, God does the same thing, because he is a father, right? He is a divine parent. And he knows you better than anything. And so our parents, in a real way, the commandments are not just there for no reason. Our parents, in a real way, can image the voice of God for us. They can image the kind of the experience of someone who has existed before us.
That's so true.
And it's tough to hear, but it's okay. We're the Catholic Underground. We're telling you, you can hear. You can listen to us, right? Number 4, keep up a healthy communication and don't ignore mom's messages. That's a tough one sometimes. My mom, because of the dementia, sometimes she'll have a bad day, and I always know when I get a phone call from the front office of the nursing home. I go, oh, this must be a bad day, and sure enough, it's mom. Kind of in a little bit of a fog, and I have to, and I can't refuse the call. So like if I'm walking in the middle of a finance council meeting, which was the last time it happened, I was like, okay, I'll be there in a second. But to cherish even those calls in some form of distress, answer the call when you can, answer text messages, and teach mom how to use new technology, It's probably good that my mom doesn't text message, because it would be a toughie, I would imagine. Because someday, let's be honest, someday your parents are not going to be calling you anymore, and their name won't appear in your text message alerts, and they won't be commenting on your Facebook posts, and they'll be in Facebook memories years from now. So now is the chance to enjoy the presence of mom and to make memories for the future,
And then mom and I were actually she called me before I came over here, and she was like, your cousin calls your aunt at least 3 times a day a week, and I barely hear. And I'm like, but I don't like phone calls. You know that. I'd rather text, but it's true. Like, just thinking about whenever we lost my dad, it wasn't till months later that I was my dorm room flooded, and I caught myself calling my dad and heard the voicemail. It hit me that it was too late to have those conversations with him.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I often think about that too. When you don't have a parent that's there anymore, you think about all the conversations you'd like to be having, but it's true. But that's part of the process too, is while your parents, presumably, while your parents are alive, you can begin to build those memories and to build those relationships, and it's important to do. And then perhaps finally, understand that mom is doing the best that she can. Sometimes it's only whenever you have kids of your own or parishioners of your own that you can appreciate how much your parents did whenever you were young.
I remember. Sorry.
No, that's all right.
I bought my house last year, and which is like one of the biggest like forays into adulthood that I've had just yet.
Yeah.
But there was a day when I was just like frantic and hectic, like working, also trying to work on my house, trying to like just keep myself alive. And I remember I called my mom because I needed help. Like there were like a couple of errands that I just could not run, and it was like completely out of medicine or something like that. So I was like, Mom, please, like I hate to ask you, but like, can you please just do this? And she would be like, of course, baby, yeah, I'll do it right now. And that's how she talks. And
it is. That's exactly.
And just like completely willing to do that. But then I had a moment in that conversation where I was like, Mom, like I want to say I'm sorry for all those years where like I was frustrated with you that like you didn't remember that I had a doctor's appointment at 3:15, or like you checked me out at 2:45 for something that I needed to be at 2:50 or whatever. And because now I'm like, I don't even have kids, like, but I'm like, I can barely keep myself together, and she was doing that with like 5 people plus like extended family and other responsibilities and work. And so I'm just like, I'm so sorry. Like thank you.
Sorry, Mom.
And that's the thing. Adult life teaches us to look with greater empathy and understanding on our parents' child rearing efforts, And the other part to think about too is that our parents, we only think of them as mom or dad, but they've also had their struggles, and they have a previous family history, and they have stuff that they're trying to still work through, and in some cases they're not aware of, and so they gave us life, they loved us, they raised us, and even in the midst of their own struggles and achievements and all those things, and they're a gift to be appreciated while we can. So whether it's your mom or your dad, call them, text them. Listen to them, receive those communications, and life begins to enrich. Huh?
Hug them.
Really, bug them, yeah. And
No, hug
hug them, and bug them.
Hug them too.
Yeah, put a small
Irritate
microphone on them. Don't do that. That is only in Soviet Russia that you bug
This
parents.
is how we do on a
Yes.
Russian space station.
My mom's gonna call me after this and be like, I told you so.
Well, I suppose we should tell you one thing. We are Catholic Underground. Oh, yes. You are indeed listening to and watching, if you are fortunate to have, well, I don't know if you're fortunate to have us in front of you, but it's the Catholic Underground.
I did my face today.
Kathleen did her makeup, so we hope you're watching. We are online at CatholicUnderground.tv, on YouTube.com/Catholic Underground, on Twitter.com/Cath Underground, on Facebook.com/Catholic Underground. I'm Father Chris, joined by Kathleen, by Taylor, by Olivia, by Jeff, and by Ed, whom you cannot see, but trust us, he's there. Our picks of the week are coming up, but first, okay, so you're Catholic. You're a freshman.
That's true.
You're in college now. What do you do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Yes, it's been a hot minute since I myself have been in the college classroom or the dorm room, but I remember very distinctly going to college. I was probably, we just had the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina on August 28th here in Louisiana.
That was in 05, right?
In 05, right? That was 2 weeks into my freshman year.
Wow.
I had just moved into the dorm, and my mom called me. I lived probably across town, so probably maybe a 20, 30-minute drive. And she said, Kathleen, I need you you're going to have to come home. And I said, I distinctly remember, Mom.
Speaking of moms,
Yeah,
right?
I was like, I am not going to drive all the way home to sit with you people in the dark. I was like, I am at college now. I woke up the next morning to my RA knocking on my door saying, everybody's gone. You're the last person. I'm leaving.
wow.
And I went, oh, Mama. It's just too late now. But it's such a great time. Like, I remember being so great because you have like this new freedom, and you get to schedule your own classes, and you see more people than you've ever seen in your life. For me, there were boys, very exciting. But there are also some parts of college that can be overwhelming. And so it's important to kind of get your head on straight, right? And keep your faith close at hand, because it's the easiest thing. You can drop it like a bad class, if you're not careful. So number one, right, it's so important to find a Catholic squad. Like, find those people that are they're gonna see you and say, hey, we're going to mass before we go, out on Saturday night, or hey, they're having this Bible study at the Catholic Center.
I see Taylor is nodding her head.
Right. Yeah. Taylor, I'm sure you have found. Taylor has graduated college, but she's probably the most recent one who's been there. So, like, how important is that?
I can honestly say my group of friends at St. Thomas at Nichols was really what kept me centered, because during that first semester was when my dad really hit rock bottom with his sickness. He passed at the last month of my first semester. And
you needed people.
I needed people, honestly. And if it weren't for like those friends, and then Father Andre was amazing, as well as the staff, like I could have just completely lost faith altogether. They were the ones that were in my corner constantly reminding me, look for Christ in these situations. He's there, I promise you.
And they'll be your friends beyond college.
Oh,
That's
still.
true.
I've been out a year, and I'm in Baton Rouge now, and I went to college in Thibodeau, and I'm still in touch with those friends.
This is something that I struggle with. The idea that ladies, you should find lady friends, and men, like you should find men friends. I think that's really important. So that because these people know your specific struggles as a woman, as a man. But I also think that really healthy mixed gender relationships are important to have. Sure. If you don't know, like Catholic college students, look at me in the eyeballs. If you guys don't know how to be friends, right? If you can't be friends with a guy without thinking about marrying them, or vice versa, right? Learn how to be friends with people. Okay.
Preach.
Yes. Number 2.
My Lord.
My Lord.
Life never stops, and it gets busier. You thought you were busy in high school? Wait until you have all the time in the world in college. You have no more time, right? There's always something going on. That's just how college is. There are 1,000,001 clubs to join. There are 6 or 7 tailgates that you want to go to. It's crazy, right? For us extroverts out there, right, it's okay to say no, right? And you're going to have to learn how to say no. Prioritize your time, because, again, what's going to be the easiest thing to throw out the window? Well, nobody's really watching, checking on me, see if I'm praying or going to mass, right? For introverts, it's a great opportunity to step outside the box, right? There's so much that you can experience in college, and you can't experience that if you're always in your dorm on a Friday night.
It's like we tailor-made this show for Taylor.
Yes. Number 3, let's harken back to the above story. Call your mama and the rest of your family. Go and see them. Just because you're off, that's the saddest thing. Well, so-and-so is off at college, and we never see them anymore.
Right.
Because guess what? When your car breaks down, when you run out of snack money, when the hurricane comes around, who's going to be the first person you call?
Yeah.
That's right.
Mama, okay? And I have called my mama several times, and they want to know that you're alive and that you're taking care of yourself.
That's right. At the very least, my parents found a workaround. They just showed up at the seminary every week.
Yes.
It's like, well, we got to go to mass somewhere, so we're coming here.
That's
so
awesome.
they did, yeah.
I mean, I went to college in Thibodeau, so if I wasn't contacting her and she really wanted, she'd be like,
She
hey,
wasn't
what
far.
time is mass at St. Thomas? Yeah, me and Ty are showing up.
That's pretty clever, parents, by the way.
My mama even did the same thing.
Yeah,
I would be studying during the week, and then my mama would come walking down the halls of St. Thomas looking for me. Oh, I just went to daily mass. I wanted to come see you. Hadn't heard in a while. And I'm like,
yeah, that's a very South Louisiana Catholic way of doing things. We got to go to mass, so
we'll just go.
Oh,
there.
funny
So we're going to
thing.
stalk you while we're doing it.
That's right, exactly.
Okay, so make mass and make prayer a priority.
That's right. Your parents did.
Right.
Right.
Right. And so, like, how many of us go off to college and I remember this, I was like queen of the youth group, but I was like, well, no, I mean, I came from a Catholic school where we prayed and went to mass, all the time, and it wasn't my responsibility. So when it became my responsibility, I was like, well, if nobody's watching, right? And I remember I tried to skip mass one time, and I felt so bad. I ran across campus. I was like, I'm gonna go to hell if I don't go to mass. So I was very terrified. But it's important, right? These are the things that sustain your faith, and that's why it's important to have a good group of friends, right? A good group of friends to say, hey, we're all going to mass, right? Hey, how's your prayer life? That's one of I hate that question, because usually I'm like, not as good as it should be, right? But my friends still ask me that. Are you spending time in your day? Are you making that intentional time to pray and visit the sacraments? This is kind of a practical one, but learn how you learn, right? If you and how you learn in high school is going to be very different than how you learn in college. The classes are very different. The professors are very different. They're not calling your mama and telling them that you're failing. They don't care if you're failing, right? But learn how you learn. For me, I was at a laptop-based high school. So when I went to college, I started on my laptop and Amazon shopped my way through my first semester. So guess where the laptop stayed? At my dorm, right? So learn how you learn best. Get to know your professors. Sometimes they can seem intimidating and unapproachable, but if they see your face and see your effort, then they're gonna reach out to you when they see that you're struggling, right?
I've always been the teacher's pet, and that even went into college. My professors were amazing, and it's really cool whenever you can go from just being in their class for lecture to seeing them in the hall and joking around and being that comfortable.
And sometimes
with
your
them.
professors become colleagues and friends later in life too.
That's true.
Definitely.
That is true. Speaking of mass and prayer, go to confession. You are not invincible in college.
No.
And the same, troubles that you're dealing with in high school, they're going to carry on to college. Go to confession. Do not give up on sleep. Get some sleep. Do not pull all-nighters. It's healthy for you to go to bed at an appropriate time. Okay? Just because you have all the time in the world does not mean you should take it. Okay? And the last thing, this is a great opportunity, right? A new school, a new improved you, right? If you're looking, I was so almost, it's a weird thing to say, but proud of a lot of the girls I went to high school with when they went to college, because they totally were free to be themselves. And they wanted to be better. They wanted to do better in academics. They wanted to try a sport. They wanted to join the kayak team. Go ahead with your bad self. Do it. Right? Yep. This is the opportunity for you to grow deeper in your faith, to make it your own, because now it really is. Mama is not calling you, telling you better go to mass, although my mom did. This is your opportunity to get out there. It's a new start, a fresh start. And maybe it's even a fresh start for your faith.
Yeah.
Right. And you're moving into this adult role of, I'm responsible for this now, and I need to man or woman up. Right.
That's right. And you can reboot. We hope that you won't reboot because we're going to reboot and be right back. We're the Catholic Underground. There's more on the other side of the break. Stay where you are. Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy, our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this valley of tears. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary. Welcome back. You found the Catholic Underground with me, Father Chris, Kathleen, Olivia, Taylor, Jeff, and Ed. We're all your friends. You have invited us in, and we're glad that you have. Our picks of the week are coming up. But first, we thought, as we kind of talked a little bit about calling mom, about adulting up, getting to college, before you get to the adult phase of your life, especially if you were a young man, rites of passage are important. In fact, we all had to read a lot of the same books in elementary and middle school. A number of those books about rites of passage. Huh? You think about Call of the Wild, Red Badge of Courage, Lord of the Flies.
Boy books is what you're talking about.
And that's the thing, they are, now that I think about it, they're boy books.
They're boy books.
And you guys had to read boy books.
Oh, yes, we did.
Yeah.
But I remember my English teachers, especially in middle school, would balance boy books and girl books. So if we read The Red Badge of Courage, which we did, then we also read The Little Princess or something like that. Something that would make the boys go, ugh.
Well, even some of the early, regardless of what you would say about her stance on life issues, a lot of the early Judy Blume and Beverly Cleary books, that I remember reading those as a kid too. Fudge and Super Fudge. A lot of it had to do with his sister. And some of those. Of course, those were elementary level books.
Right.
I don't remember reading any girl books. whenever I was. But that, I guess,
We'll
kind of
make you a
dovetails.
list. Yeah.
I
Junie
bet
B.
you
Jones,
will.
all the way, best place
Just
to start.
Read all of Jane Austen and then come back.
Well, Jane Austen. Okay, I did read some of Jane Austen. Yeah,
Although
for
she's
sure.
universal. Maybe we're getting off the point a
We
little
are.
bit. But everyone should read Jane Austen. That's the end of my segment. Back to you.
Or like,
and now our picks. No.
or like me, watch the movies.
Yeah.
I mean, yes,
I'm
we
guilty
can
of
also
that
talk
too.
about that.
Yeah.
But no, I love that we're talking specifically about rites of passage because like this is a way that specifically men find maturity or like opportunities for maturity or like kind of coming into their own in a way that maybe needs to be more expressed than it is for women, right? So we can acknowledge that men and women are different. This
Yeah.
is not a bad thing. We're different. It's good. Praise God.
Right. It's complementary too. That's
Complementary,
the
yeah.
thing. Yeah.
But when we talk about rites of passage, a lot of what we're talking about really is having to do with male masculinity. And so what we're going to be talking about comes to us from Jason Craig over at Catholic Exchange, but he's also referencing a book called Leaving Boyhood Behind.
That he's also written, and I want to buy it.
I know. I'm like after doing this kind of research, I'm like, ooh, this is we all have to read this
Because it's good anthropology, right?
Yeah, and anthropology just means looking at the human person. Anthropos means man, right? But man in terms of like humanity. So looking at the human person and saying, okay, what can we learn, right? This is very like in philosophy we call it phenomenological, right? You're looking at a person, an experience, a situation, the thing itself, and you're figuring out, okay, how does this impact reality? How does this express a reality to us? So that's what we wanted to talk about. And the premise that he's starting with is that, there's some transitions in life that really are so radical that the old form of life, wherever you're coming from, can't really continue into the new form, right? So there's very clear maybe boundaries or thresholds that once you cross them, you're cognizant of the fact that like, okay,
This is different.
This is different, and some of the things that existed before maybe can't exist here for whatever reason. So the old form has to give way to that, and the new form has to be embraced. And so that transition is really where one state of life like dies and another is born.
It sounds almost Paschal.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, this might be familiar to you from our reading in the New Testament, the entire New Testament. The entire New Testament.
Right.
Like dying to self, right? So a lot of what we're going to talk about with like these rites of passages has a lot to do with dying to self, but how specifically is that done in kind of concrete ways, especially like lived ways. So it really is this like passing of one state that allows for the embrace of a new one. And Jason Craig is talking about the ideas of a French anthropologist, Arnold van Gennep. And he was the one who first coined the term like rites of passage. And I love this particular quote, so I'm going to read it. He said that for every one of these rites of passage, there are ceremonies whose essential purpose is to enable the individual to pass from one defined position to another, which is equally well defined, right? So you have a very clear movement there, right? You're going from somewhere that's defined, right? We're not moving really from chaos to order. We're moving from one defined position to another defined position, but that motion is catalyzed, is precipitated by an event, right? Or something that is kind of ritualized in a way, and that's what he's calling a rite of passage.
I just went to the Scouting Awards for Catholic Scouts, and that's exactly what it is. It's a marking within the Catholic ethos, right? The Catholic mindset. It's a marking of moving from one place to another, of one level of kind of accomplishment as a scout to a newer level. And it's marked. It's made a rite of. It's kind of a rite of passage.
It
in fact,
is a rite
in
of passage.
Scouting and in Girl Scouting as well, there are rites of passage that mark move from one order to another. And in some cases, they call it an order.
Yeah. Yeah, because you need those little like signposts on the way of transition, right? Because transition is going to happen either way, but it's almost like it makes itself more of a part of ourselves when we
mark it.
acknowledge it, when we ritualize it in some way, in a way that's healthy. So Van Gennep, the anthropologist, identifies 3 distinct parts of a rite, of this like process that are present in any kind of rite of passage, right? So first you have a separation, right? So there's the separation from the old way. There's an initiation, so initiation into the new way. And then incorporation. So separation, the leaving behind the death of the old experience, the previous state of life. The initiation is probably the actual rite or the ceremony. So like in that instance that Father Chris was talking about, it'd be like the ceremony that marks, moving from one order to another. And then incorporation is like that final stage of being brought into the community, right? When you're initiated by people who are already in the community and they're accepting you, and and then in the incorporation phase, they're continuing to mentor you, to teach you, because it's not just like, you induct someone in something and then leave them alone, right?
Right.
Just like in the church, when people go through RCIA, it's not just like Easter Vigil, okay, great, you're Catholic, bye. No. There's a process, I don't think that we talk about it very often, after RCIA called mystagogy, where the newly accepted, newly maybe baptized, newly confirmed, whatever, continue their process of kind of sinking their teeth into the faith.
Yeah, being mentored by those who have been Catholic for a long time, most of them, saying this is how we Catholic, right?
Yeah, this is how we
and this is how we Catholic.
Yeah.
It could be my next rap album.
Yes.
So watch this space. But mine might be more Motown. But at any rate, that's the thing, and this takes place on a human level.
Yeah.
And the reason that the church has liturgical rites is because she understands that there is something that has to happen at an anthropological level, because these rites are ways that we access the deepest parts of ourselves.
Yeah.
It's also the way at the deepest part that we access God.
Yeah.
And he asks for us to access him that way.
Yeah. So I think you're right that there is a very human need to what we're talking about, especially with initiation. So I can think back in my life those times when I was just like, oh, like another ceremony, or like even when I used to work in ministry, just thinking about like all of the kind of like rigmarole, or what was presented to me like in my what I came to think about as like rigmarole, like just doing this because we've always done it, that kind of thing. But I eventually figured out like no, like people need this, right? This is not just like we're doing this to placate people, or we're doing this because people ask for it but they don't really know why. Yeah. But that this is a very fundamental human need because it helps us not only mark transitions but to understand them, right? Because oftentimes when you're about to enter into a ritual, you have to prepare for it in some way, right? And you have to choose it, right? That choice is very transformative in itself. And then you go through the transition, you mark it by ritualizing it, and then you've embraced it at that point, and you begin to live it, right? So there's something very significant, and it really just acknowledges our humanity when we just, I don't know, accept the reality of initiation and this whole process of rite of passage. And like we said, this pattern of separation, initiation, incorporation is really well evident in the church, right? So since the new life in Christ, as St. Paul says, is incompatible with the old man, right? Yeah. You have to put off the things of childhood and put on the activity, put on the mind, put on the attitude of Christ. But what is that? That's putting on the new man. And we especially see it in the sacraments of what? Initiation, right? That's what we call them that. Right? You are being initiated.
You guys owe me sodas.
Oh, no. Sorry.
Well, if we're jinxed, then the show can't continue. So good night, folks.
That's true. So keep on going.
No, yeah. So the sacraments of initiation, right? Baptism, confirmation, Holy Eucharist. So in baptism, what's happening, right? We're literally going from death to life. Yeah,
literally,
right?
Quite literally.
Literally, maybe this point can't be overstated. I don't think that it can. But baptism is full participation the beginning of full participation in the eternal life of God.
Right. It is. Right? It is a true death.
Yeah.
To original sin, to the life that I led up until that point, even though I might have been a baby.
A little baby.
The life, I probably was a chubby child, but the life I led up to that point now changes.
Exactly.
That old person is now dead.
Right.
And I have been initiated through Christ, through his saving action. I now become a new creation.
Yeah.
We use that language, but I think we forget how literal baptism is.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I mean, the church, I think, used to be more explicit about this, and she still is, but like the baptismal font, it used to be called the uterus ecclesia.
Oh, wow.
Which means like the uterus of the church, the womb of the church.
Yeah.
Right? Because what happens in a womb, right? New life is not only cultivated, but born. Mm-hmm. So the baby that comes out, or the person that comes out of the baptismal waters is not the same person that went in, right? Something new is happening. And I mean, we hear that assurance in Revelation, right? Behold, I make all things new, right? I don't make all things kind of different. I don't make all things like slightly improved, but like I make all things new. right? And then confirmation, it confirms and strengthens that very real grace given to us in baptism. And I love confirmation. I think about it as like being initiated into like church militant, like fully, right? Because we become warriors for Christ, and confirmation is really like us enlisting.
You get the full armor, right? The full complement of armor and weaponry.
Exactly, which is like the fruits and the graces of the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
To really be like a full-on warrior, Joan of Arc, Saint Michael kind of warrior for Christ.
And that's one of the things I noticed after my confirmation, and once I allowed myself to reflect, is that I was not the same person after my confirmation. There were gifts that began to come to bear that were not present in the same way before my confirmation.
Yeah. So if we think about, baptism is like the separation, right? We go from death to life. Confirmation is that initiation, right? We're being initiated into this new thing. And then the Holy Eucharist really incorporates us fully as Christian into the body of Christ, which is the church, right? So incorporation, right? We're being invited into the church, who teaches us how to live as the church, how to live as a member of the body of Christ. So, going back to this kind of pure idea of the rite of passage, a lot of times when we talk about rite of passage, we really do think about like boys becoming men. Like, I don't know that if you just said that, the word rite of passage to someone, that they would immediately think of like something that happens to girls or to women. And I think there's a reason for this, right? First of all, like the reason that male rites of passage are so striking is, first of all, because they're just more orchestrated, more public than that of females, right? So think about, tribal communities who send a boy out to like kill a lion, or Australian Aborigines when they circumcise their adolescent boys in this like elaborate public ceremonies, or even like young Jewish boys who go through a bar mitzvah, right? And nowadays, girls will do a bat mitzvah, but for many millennia, it's been for a few millennia, but for many years, it's been young boys, right? It's a very specific rite of passage. And so there's just something we can learn from that says that something within masculinity has a need to be fully equipped and challenged, or else maybe it has a tendency towards distortion.
Yeah.
Right? So there's it seems to be like there's a threshold where like something significant has to occur for and with this young man, or else insert something bad here.
Right.
And I think that maybe that's why you see a lot of these rites of passage around the time of, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, something like that. Right. And because what's happening around then? Puberty. Right.
Yeah.
And it's also like when traditionally, historically, when like boys become men, right? So what kind of men are they becoming?
Yeah.
Right? And the communities that they're already in recognize this, and they set up these rituals, these initiating events in order to say, no, this is the kind of man that you need to become. This is the kind of community that you need.
That's right. They're kind of setting up the chute, if you will, for the young man to actually go through, to be able to become the man that is fully part of the community, that is fully part of the tribe, so to speak.
Right. And he gets to choose, right? Because ideally he gets to choose whether or not he wants to complete that, or whether or not once he gets on the other side of initiation, if he's going to choose to be incorporated into that community. Right. But it's significant that culturally, across all cultures, we have these rites of passage, because there's just something innate that realizes that young men need this to a certain extent.
Yeah, it's even in literature, right?
It's even in literature. So you think about like Achilles, who's given over by his father to Chiron, who's a centaur, to be initiated into manhood, right? Jack and the Beanstalk, originally a story of a boy separating from his mother. He goes into battle with the beanstalk and the giant. He liberates his father, right? All so that he could become a man, so he could become like his father, reclaim his inheritance, right? A lot of the Greek myths, a lot of the Roman and Greek mythologies are very clear about, like, they set up these kinds of stories because why? Because it's important.
And then, of course, there's the modern myth of the Karate Kid. Daniel's son, paint the fence. Daniel's son, go to tournament, you will fight. Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. So you might be asking yourself, like, well, why not women, right? Like, why don't women go through these things? And I wouldn't say that it's like women don't go through rites of passages,
of course,
but that it happens more naturally. So like all of these things that we're talking about that occur to young men are happening culturally, right? So they're things that are somewhat constructed in a way, like there's a need and it's met by the community in a way that's fabricated or that's made present like physically, through like a ceremony, through some kind of, killing a lion, that kind of thing. But with women, it's much more natural, right? It's a biological process. So it's a rite of passage, right? So like for a young woman to enter into puberty is like often called like becoming a woman, right? But that's not something that she doesn't have to go out and kill something in order for that to happen. It just happens.
Right. It happens within her, right?
It happens within
body.
her.
Yeah.
And it's naturally occurring and it's naturally powerful. And men don't really have something that occurs like that's within them naturally, right? So like a mom can get on the other side of childbirth and really see like something life-changing has happened, right? Something completely radical, something completely new has happened. And she can reflect on that because it's happened through her, in her, right? But for a man, even with something like paternity, which is the heart of authentic masculinity, hear me, young men, old men, whatever, that paternity is the heart of authentic masculinity.
Right.
But that's something that a man must choose and must embrace, right? Because we see all too often that can be rejected.
Yeah.
Right?
In favor of, fortnights in the basement.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
we don't have basements, but if we did, that's where a lot of people my age would be if they did not embrace masculinity.
Exactly.
Guys,
and so a rite of passage is designed to help make a man make a man out of him so that he will choose that manhood, so that he will choose to live that masculinity. And yeah, like Father Chris was saying, like men can coast along in immaturity if they have no kind of mirroring experience offered to them by more mature men.
That's right.
Right? So you really do need that community to say, it's not a good idea to like spend all your time alone in a basement or some facsimile thereof, playing video games, not interacting with other human beings, right?
That's weird.
You need but you need a community
weird.
to like, slap you and pull you out of that, right?
Which again, when you're in college, this is a good time to step out of the basement, so to speak, literal or figurative, and to find your tribe, right? Find your community within the church, certainly.
Exactly. Yeah, and I love this too. This kind of sets up the dichotomy from Dr. Leon Pottles. He says, what a woman receives from her experience of her physical female nature, a man must receive from his culture, because he will not receive it simply by living out the logic of his male body.
Wow.
I love that. Right? So what we're saying there is that men need tangible rites of passage. So concrete steps of this separation, initiation, incorporation in order to become men. It's not a weakness, right? It's not a weakness to say that men need that culturally. But
it's a complementarity,
It's a complementarity, yeah. Because, I mean, for most of civilization, who has been building culture, right? Men, right? And if they're building culture, it's because they need culture, right? Women have a smaller need of like culture, like the family is a very like innate kind of culture to women. But what do men do historically? They build societies, they build structures, they build these logical kind of input-output systems.
And seen in that way, the innate culture of the family that comes about by virtue just simply of the body of woman is not a weakness,
right?
But it is a beautiful complement to be able to join that microcosm of culture with the macrocosm of culture that a man is called to build externally.
Exactly.
That's beautiful.
Isn't that
That
amazing?
is absolutely beautiful. I mean, that is a painting that I have never had put before my eyes.
Yeah. And that's why I love talking about this kind of stuff, because our initial, like, I don't know, at least my initial thoughts were like, wait, only men need rites of passage, right? Just kind of like steel myself, like, ugh, why is that? But then I sit with it and I study it and I'm like, no, like this is a good, right?
This is the theology of the body, but in a completely different arena.
Exactly. Exactly. So basically all this is to say that, our genuine human needs are not simply just that easily answered. Maybe sometimes it takes creativity. And this is what we're meant to be as human beings, right? We're meant to be people who sit with our human needs, who take them seriously. We don't try to mask them. We don't try to like paint them over, but we take them seriously and we recognize, okay, well, if I have this need for community, or if I have this threat of danger that lurks behind, the certain kind of hormonal things that are happening, the cultural things that are happening when I'm about to enter into manhood, okay, well then how can we address that, right? And not only that, but like how can I actively not reject it, right? That seems to be more of our like current struggle in the modern world. So really it comes down to our ideas of tradition and culture and identity and belonging. So the antidote for feeling isolated, for feeling insecure, for being immature is oftentimes just embracing these traditions, these cultures, these cultural implements to help us become who we're meant to be.
Wow. I tell you, I could say I ordered the book while you were talking because I'm really interested in this because there's so much to it. And I just look at my own experiences, like with scouting as a kid, and just the various things that happen in the midst of seminary formation that allow for those initiation periods within the heart of the church. And it's ringing true. And then seeing kind of the beauty of the genius of woman and how that comes about too. And then how that interplays with vocation too. Wow. Well, I guess I've got some homework to do. But we do have some homework that we've done for you already. It's that part of the show that we like to call
the CU Pick of the Week.
That's right. And for the first CU Pick of the Week, we're going to Olivia.
Oh, well,
It's not a burn.
This is the only way that it can be, Kathleen. Okay, so my pick of the week was inspired by shopping for my goddaughter's second birthday present because she turned 2 last week, y'all. Wow. She's so big and she's so cute. Anyway, so she turned 2, but when I was shopping for a present, I realized that I'm always drawn to these Melissa and Doug toys. I don't know if y'all have, had familiarity with them, but they're beautifully made things. There's toys and puzzles.
Oh, they are beautiful.
There are a lot of wooden things, but they're also
this quality is spot on.
Yeah, and they'll last forever. I bought her, I bought her puzzles from them. I bought her a mixing set, had a little stand mixer and stuff you can put in to make. Cute. I know, to bake things, right? So I'm kind of sticking with Melissa and Doug, especially while she's in those young formative ages, because it's a lot of educational stuff too.
Oh, a washer and dryer combo.
I know, I love the little washer and dryer. Yeah, so I highly recommend them, not only for quality, but also because I find that they're very good at figuring out what is age appropriate, what's still going to challenge a 2-year-old, and not be really a toy that's meant for an 18-month-old, but what's still age appropriate and what's going to be lasting. Anyway, so
I love
really
the Fresh Mart grocery store. It's even got a keypad for the card.
It's so amazing.
I need that in my life right now.
And they have little vacuum cleaners. Oh, so cute. Okay, anyway.
They're not rated for French bulldogs. I'm just saying.
Come on.
Hey, you can come over to where I work. We've got a few of their
weird
things because
Taylor, what do you do? What do you do?
I work for Touchstone ABA at St. Lillian Academy in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
And we're at a school that is completely special needs children.
Oh, awesome.
And I will tell you, the few Melissa and Doug toys that we have are probably the sturdiest and longest lasting toys.
And are they more popular? Are they the more popular toys too?
Yeah, and they're the more functional. They teach a lot more life skills in a way that it's you can teach them how to use a microwave without putting them
so it's got kind of
on
a
top
quasi
of a microwave.
Montessori feel.
Yeah,
to
a little
it.
bit. Yeah, that's a great way of saying it.
We are not sponsored by Melissa and Doug.
No, but if you want to contact us.
Hey, come on.
Also, if you'd like to send us some of your products, namely me.
That's right, Kathleen.
I'll make a list.
Kathleen will test any of them for you.
Yes, I will.
Taylor, what's your pick of the week?
Okay, so I've been reading this book probably since Lent.
Oh, yeah.
It's The Cries of Jesus from the Cross by Fulton Sheen. And it's taking me so long to read it because it is not a light read. It is a mind-blowing, quite heavy read, but it is every sentence has you thinking.
Yeah.
This is the book that when I showed up at your church during Lent, I was like, questions now.
Yeah. Well, and Archbishop Sheen, he's so readable, but you're right. You do have to chew on what he's saying.
I have notes all
because
over.
that man's got a philosophy degree for days. Yeah. That man who is nearly to be sainted. We hope.
So close.
Coming on down. Yeah. All right, Kathleen, your pick.
Is it my turn yet? Thank
it's your
you
turn.
so much.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay, this week I'm going to go generic, but in my older age, I have found this to be 1, practical, 2, soothing, 3, entertaining. Antiquing. People, I never would have thought in my life I would be seeking out antique shops on my days off. I'm going, I found a new antique shop. No,
it's happening.
It's happening. So I encourage you, go see. There's all kinds of treasures you can find. You're never gonna. You can always leave with something odd and bizarre, and it's the best thing ever. So find an antique shop near you.
Yes.
All right, Jeff. Jeff, you got a pick of the week over there?
I do. I have a puppy dog. Sailor is he's 10 years old now. And he's a Sheltie. And he has to go in the dark. When his time, he has to go do his business.
In the dark.
Yeah, in the dark. So I've got a dark backyard, and there's no really easy way to light it without getting electricians and digging up ground and stuff like that. So I found, and I did a lot of research on this, but I found made by Autech solar-powered motion-sensitive LED lights. And they come in a 4-pack, $32. It's like $8 a light, and these things are super bright. And you can either set them to stay on full blast all night long or at a dim mode. And then, somebody walks in front of it, they'll go kick into to full bright. So anyway, I've had it for about a month. In fact, I ordered 4 more because I got a lot of yard to light up at night. So.
LEDs are a fantastic technology.
Yeah, they really are. And Sailor says, thanks, Pop.
That's right. Yeah, I don't doubt it.
I got a hug.
My pick of the week is... the Catholic card game.
Tell us more.
Just prepare to buy it now, ladies, because I can tell you that
so
you're
good.
So if like me, you were introduced at some point to Cards Against Humanity, which is okay, folks. Don't just don't.
You're worth
right?
more than that. Don't do it.
Well, the Catholic card game is basically the Catholic version of this. So there are a series of question or fill in the blank cards. And then there are answer cards that are specifically catered to us, to Catholic life. And so, for example, wait a minute, I don't want to read that one. Blank gets me the most likes on Instagram. And so you'll pick 7 cards, and then you'll try and lay down the funniest or the most theologically accurate one, right? So blank gets me the most likes on Instagram. Getting to the tomb first gets me the most likes on Instagram. Meeting the mother of the woman of my dreams gets me the most likes. A Christian fish tattoo gets me the most likes on Instagram. Theology on tap gets me the most likes. So it's a fun game. I've played it once already. And so the Catholic game is my pick of the week. I'll put that, the Catholic card game, I'll put that in the show notes there. Jeff, we are always grateful for those who like us, who star us, and all of those things, our benefactors, and all of those who take part in the Catholic Underground.
Indeedy do, Father. And in fact, this week the Catholic Underground is possible because of people just like you. Join the growing number of undergrounders at CatholicUnderground.com/donate. And an important way to support us is to like us, heart us, star us, and share us on your social media platform of choice. Just get out there on iTunes, click them stars, youngins.
That's right. Thank you for clicking them stars. If you want our all of our stuff, you can go to CatholicUnderground.com. Important to note there. Our panelists have been Kathleen Lee, the benefactress. She's at KLee626 on Instagram. Thanks, Kathleen.
Anytime.
Also, Olivia Gulino. Olivia Gulino. She's the she's the real OMG on all those things. Thanks, Olivia.
Thank you.
Sorry, Taylor Rodrigue. Are you TMR 1013 still?
Not anymore. That's changed since high school. I can't even tell you what my handle is.
All right. Well, you'll just have to search for her on Facebook because, that's Taylor over there. Also, our technical director, Jeff Blackwell, is at Jeff Blackwellis on all the social media. Thanks, Jeff.
It's a privilege, Father.
Our research assistant and the leader of the crew in the lab is Jim Hayes. Our video and graphics director for this episode is Ed Ball. And you know me. I am Father Chris Decker. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Digital Catholic. It's almost Inktober. So, so subscribe, shall you? Yes.
Accept no invitations. No invitations.
None. 0. We hope that we've helped you to cut through the noise and find the still small voice with the Catholic Underground, where faith gone digital. We'll see you next time.
From the Catholic Underground.